Leila Land, thanks for joining. Today is nothing to do with makeup, nothing to do with shopping, nothing to do with what I've bought or what I'm reviewing, and is everything to do with trying to just make somebody's life a little bit easier and just build somebody up a little bit. It's something I'm really passionate about doing with my children. I very much try my absolute hardest to build them up and to give them pep talks when they need it and based on their individual needs. And it's something that I'm very passionate that we all should do for each other. Yes, we should all love ourselves. Yes, we should all feel confident, but sometimes we need somebody else to just be our little cheerleader. And yeah, it's something I try and do for everybody that's in my life as much as possible. And I want to do that for you lot as well because you are all in my life. And if you're watching my videos, you're part of my family as well. So I feel like it is my duty to try and do that for you a little bit. I wanted to talk today about something that Maya Angelou said. Random, maybe. Maya Angelou was an American lady who was a civil rights activist and an amazing poet. And she died about 3 years ago, maybe 2, 3 years ago, maybe more. And yeah, something that she said is something I try to remember. And I'm going to address this to women, to people of colour, to LGBTQ plus communities, and anybody else who identifies with this, really. You may look at me and think, what the hell do you know about any of this? But I have experienced my own kind of ignorance and exclusion and fight to be heard. And yeah, I can't stand it. I can't stand any kind of people being singled out for anything, whether it's how they look, how they dress, the colour of their skin, how they speak, where they come from. The only thing I'm bothered about in a person is whether you're a good person, and nothing to do with who you're attracted to, who you feel inside, what colour your skin is, where you come from. None of that makes up whether you're a good person or not. So I really couldn't care less about any of that. All I'm bothered about is people being all right with me and me being all right with people. So I kind of wanted to address this video to everybody that's ever experienced something like that. I also live in a house at the moment, and I'm sure they won't mind me saying, but I've got my one daughter who is disabled. I have another child who is trans, and just at the beginning of that journey, we obviously live in a diverse house. We obviously talk about and try and include lots and lots of different cultures in our house. We come from lots of different cultures and we are creating our own cultures. So we're a very open family in that sense. And I work very hard to provide a safe environment for my kids to be able to express themselves however they choose to at that particular moment on that particular day. If that changes 5 times a day, that changes 5 times a day, but you go find out what works for you. And I work very hard to make sure that they understand that they are in a safe environment. What upsets me the most in life is when I hear that people don't feel that in their own homes and from their own families. As a mother, it literally kills me inside a little bit every time I hear of somebody who's come out as gay or trans and end up on the streets, or people who don't feel they can share that side of them with their families because they're scared. And to think that I wouldn't be able to know that side of my child because I'd made them feel frightened to share it with me is just unthinkable as a mother, to be honest. And I always just kind of want to, give the pep talks to people who are feeling a little bit like they either have to prove themselves or they have to fight for their space in the world. And I kind of want to be everyone's mum. I kind of want to adopt everybody and just, if there's somebody that my kids know who are feeling like that, the first thing they say is, that's it, you've adopted them now, haven't you? Because I can't cope with it. I can't deal with it. So yeah, I find it really like, so I wanted to do this video. I wanted to make this video. I'll stop rambling on now because of a quote from Maya Angelou, which I think can really be used to give people a little bit more confidence in being themselves and owning being themselves, because that's what it's about. Let me stop rambling and let me actually talk you through it. So the quote that, in fact, let me just go look at my notes so I don't misquote the great lady. So the quote that I'm talking about is again from Maya Angelou, and it says, "Your crown has been bought and paid for. Put it on your head and wear it." And that to me is one of those things that made me just stop, really think about it and digest it, and just keep reading it and just keep throwing it around my brain when I first heard it. And obviously, people take things to mean different things based on what it means to them, and that is based on their experiences, what they're here to learn, what they're capable of learning at that time, and what they need to learn at that time, I believe. So this may enter your brain completely differently than it's entered mine. But what I take this to mean, and what I want you to use this as, is that the people that came before us from our cultures and our heritage have paved the way for us to have what we have now. We ourselves are paving the way for the next generations to have the things that they're going to have too. But I really do think we've reached a point now where we can start to approach that from a completely different mindset. I know we're living in really scary times for a lot of different reasons, and it is terrifying, but I feel like it's terrifying because we're winning. And I feel like as strong as we're getting, the retaliation is getting stronger, but we can only win because hate cannot win. It just doesn't. That is just universal. Hate does not win. Might take a while, but it doesn't, in the end, it doesn't win ever. And what I'm loving about living today, and even in the scary times, is people aren't taking it anymore. People who I think once would, and I say people, but people from different walks of lives, I think even in my recent history, even in my lifetime, wouldn't have stuck up for other communities quite as viciously as they do now, and quite as widespread as they do now. A lot of people, it was kind of, well, it's not my problem. And I see that attitude disappearing more and more every year, and it's wonderful. It is wonderful. I really do think we are here to look after people and to protect people and to stand with people. I really think that's going to be the key to a lot of humanity moving on. And I really do feel like the more we at least try to understand, or even just accept. It doesn't, I always say, and people look at me like a weirdo when I say this, it doesn't matter if you understand somebody else's choices, just accept it. Just accept it, because it's not hurting you. And the more acceptance there is in the world, the better it's just going to be. It just is. So I think if you come from a long line of cultural being held down and persecution, that gets passed on in your DNA. It can't not do. I really believe that. And I love that it comes out in pride and strength. Talk about people of colour. You hear about strong black women and strong black men, and it's the feisty Latinas, and it's kind of their heritage is to be strong and power and feisty and protective and fierce, and that comes from these communities being literally repressed. And I always find that out of something like that comes this sense of togetherness and being proud of themselves. And I'm talking about any kind of culture that's being held down here as well. The LGBTQ communities are very similar in that they've been repressed, and they've been they've been held down, and they've been persecuted. And what do we get? We get Pride Month. It's amazing. We get this massive sense of pride in who they are and the fight they've had to be themselves, and it's wonderful. From my heritage especially. I'm really hot. From my heritage as well, there's that sense that there were over 1 million Irish people died during the famine, and these are people that have been held down and persecuted for hundreds and hundreds of years, that doesn't really get talked about often. And we talk about the rebellion, and that kind of strong Irish person comes from that. We talk about Irish mums if you've got an Irish mum, you understand, you know the score. You know the score. They are not beaten at anything. Nothing life throws at an Irish person will get to them. They are the funniest, most laid back, we'll sort it people. And that comes from that. You find out who you are in those times. If you've got it easy from day one till the end, you never learn who you are. In our family personally, we have had the darkest days a family can ever have, and we all know exactly what we're made of now, and we wouldn't have known that if that hadn't have happened. So you do kind of have that phoenix rising from the ashes effect, and it's amazing. We could also get on the using the kind of double-edged sword analogy that with kind of years of being held down, there can be that sense of, well, I've still got to fight for my seat at the table. And yes, we absolutely, women, people of colour, people in the LGBTQ plus communities, yes, we are still fighting for true equality, but it's now the time to just take it. Just do it. Just do it. We don't need to ask for it anymore. Just do it. Because all that groundwork has been laid by so many amazing people who literally put their lives on the line to give us that foot in the door, to be able to rip that door open and say, we're here, thank you. These people have done a lot for you, so don't waste it. The Pankhursts and the suffragette movement for women, people like Martin Luther King, people like Marsha P. Johnson, there are so many people who have stood against everything and risked and lost everything on giving us what we've got today and giving us this platform and this voice. Your crown has been bought and paid for. What I'm talking about there is the work that these people put in back in the day against everything, risking everything to give us this platform. The crown you wear now, that was bought and paid for in those actions. The crown is our voice. The crown is our privilege. And if you have privilege, you have to use that privilege. You have to find out why you have privilege. If you don't know if you have privilege, go and find out. Ask somebody. Google search it and work out how you can use that to make people listen to you, because if you've got privilege, people listen to you more easily than they would listen to somebody else who doesn't have that privilege. And we all need to have the same privileges. The crown is our power to stand up for other people. The crown is our ability to stop somebody and say, don't speak to that person like that. And most importantly, your crown is being able to, instead of asking for a foot in the door and instead of asking for a seat at the table, your crown is living in a time where you can just stamp your feet and take it. All those people who came before you in your community and your heritage and your culture, all those people have bought and paid for your crown, and the currency that they paid for that was their actions and risking everything to make sure you had that voice and that crown today. So as Maya Angelou says, put it on your head and wear it. Your crown has been bought and paid for. Put it on your head and wear it. In other words, it's time to stop asking. It's time to stop thinking that we have to fight and ask for people to change it. Just be the change. Just do it. Put your crown on and damn well take it. Demand it. Put down the ignorance and just snuff it out immediately. Just demand the respect that you deserve, because whatever background you come from, whatever the colour of your skin, whoever you choose to identify as today, whoever you love, you are 100% valid and a 100% valid member of the human race. So put your crown on and take the place. And please remember, I love every single one of you. Right, so I'm going to leave you now because I feel like I've been waffling and rambling at you for ages, and I need to go and make tea for Charlotte, otherwise she's going to move out, I think. Please do go and subscribe if you haven't already. Give this one a big thumbs up. Go and share it with the world. Remember, I love you very, very much. Go and love everybody else and be kind to each other, and go and put your crown on, please. See you next time. Bye.